COVID-19 vaccine distribution supply chain. Several of the world's leading pharmaceutical firms, including both Pfizer and Moderna, have produced breakthrough COVID-19 vaccines that are extremely promising, but still several months away from widespread use. In addition to these vaccines, there are numerous other vaccine candidates in trials. With these vaccines comes the interesting challenge of how will they be distributed globally. The sheer requirements for vaccine distribution plan will be immensely challenging. With over 300 million people in the United States alone, just reaching a 90% vaccination rate in the United States will take an immense amount of planning and coordination to ensure that vaccines are delivered in a timely manner, not damaged or subjected to temperatures beyond their requirements. There could potentially be many places a person can get the vaccine. The obvious choices are local clinics, pharmacies, hospitals, but just like with the rapid pop-up testing, it is very likely that vaccines will be given at large outdoor locations or parking lots, including CDC locations, perhaps even local department stores. Let's take a look at how COVID-19 vaccines will be distributed. Stringent transportation requirements. What will the production footprint look like? How many different production facilities will be used? These are all huge unknowns. Most likely there will be multiple factories around the world producing vaccines, which could help to limit the amount of international transportation needed outside of sending vaccines to the developing world. Extremely cold transportation and storage temperatures are likely to be a requirement of all the vaccines, which will mean a very careful operation to ensure that truckloads of vaccines aren't ruined if a generator runs out of fuel. In addition, the different approved vaccines will likely have different requirements, which will complicate the distribution model. COVID-19 distribution will fall heavily on traditional cold chain providers, including warehousing, container, and even air freight carriers that handle refrigerated cargo on a regular basis. One of the most critical aspects of distribution that the CDC will have to manage is the quality assurance of keeping vaccines at the correct temperature. Just one step of the supply chain that falls outside of the prescribed temperature requirements could run tens of thousands of doses. Refrigerated containers will likely also play a role of extra capacity outside the traditional cold chain trucking capacity currently available. While it's unlikely that ocean freight or intermodal rail freight will play a huge role in the direct distribution of the vaccines, ocean and rail will play, however, a role in making sure vaccine factories have the raw materials needed, such as the millions of glass bottles and vials that will be used to transport the finished vaccine doses across the nation and world. Proper planning will be key. Building a reliable COVID-19 distribution chain won't happen overnight. It will take months of planning and preparation with widespread communication and collaboration between the CDC, pharmaceutical firms, local agencies, and transportation providers to build a cohesive system that will work effectively and reliably. There have been recent press releases that firms such as DHL, Korean Air, Air France, and Pfizer are working directly with container manufacturers to build new, specially designed refrigerated containers utilizing both dry ice and liquid nitrogen-based systems. According to several reports, dry ice demands will skyrocket and be immense in order to keep storage systems cold enough, as dry ice is effective, simple, and relatively cheap. Look to see more investment from various carriers and distribution partners to expand their cold chain capacity. According to information released by Pfizer, a freight container will be able to hold between 1,000 and 5,000 cases depending on packaging requirements. In addition to truckload and warehousing providers moving vast amounts of vaccines, parcel carriers such as USPS, UPS, FedEx, and again DHL will be heavily involved in the overall movement of the vaccines. Air freight will provide hub-and-spoke tile distribution capacity from the factories to other U.S. hubs, then trucks can handle moving the doses on local delivery runs. Air freight will be relied upon heavily due to its ability to reduce transit times significantly. When will the COVID-19 vaccines be available? This is the question that everyone is asking and is sparking massive debate. The simple answer is no one is quite certain. Several pharma firms have made commitments that there will be doses of the vaccine available before the end of the year as long as the FDA permits an emergency approval, which is potentially able to happen as early as December 10th. However, a more likely scenario puts the very earliest dose available with the United States arriving sometime in January, likely to healthcare workers first. Most likely for the average American, vaccines will be widely available within the first or second quarter of 2021. For the entire world to be vaccinated to a 90% or greater percentage of the population, this could literally take a couple years. The funding of transportation and storage capacity will also be a challenge for some regions, with funding likely coming from a mix of federal, state, and even local municipalities. The CDC will need to be careful to make sure vaccine distribution isn't hampered by a lack of funding or even communication between the many entities and agencies that will be involved. Another example of rapid planning is UNICEF is currently working with over 350 logistics firms and airlines in preparation to move 2 billion doses and 1 billion syringes globally. Getting back to normalcy. Keep in mind that while vaccines will be a major step to resuming a normal way of life, it won't be likely until the end of 2021 at earliest that social distancing and mask-wearing procedures can be abandoned. Until the majority of the population has been vaccinated, our guard cannot be let down. It will be a significant and challenging undertaking moving the vaccines across the entire majority of the U.S. population in a timely manner. This will be one of the greatest challenges supply chains have faced, certainly on the back of the massive disruption the supply chains have already had with the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. Supply chain firms, as well as agencies such as the CDC and other retailers that will be providing the vaccine, such as Walgreens or even Walmart, will need to think outside the box to work quickly to increase capacity and adapt when needed to maintain the absolute highest levels of possible transportation and storage standards. Look for an updated version of this video in the coming months as the COVID-19 vaccine situation evolves. More videos are coming along from Zmodal very soon.